Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my hope that for the smooth progress of this special press briefing, your phones are on silent so that we do not have unnecessary disturbing sounds. Once again, welcome to the ZANU-PF headquarters. Thank you very much for coming at a very short notice, of course, as usual. It's good to have you here. The spokesperson, Comrade Ambassador Mchangwa, is with us as the spokesperson of the party. Comrade Bima, Dr. Mike Bima, the National Political Commissar of the party, is here with us. The Political Commissar will give you a special briefing, followed by another special briefing from the national spokesperson of the party. I'm sure the national spokesperson will touch on a variety of issues, including those which some of you have been peddling against us. The spokesperson will use this opportunity to clear the air, and it is my hope that the mischief ends henceforth after his clarification. Thank you very much, Comrade Spokesperson. Thank you very much, Comrade Bima. It's over to you to speak to our colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mugwadi, our director. I also want to acknowledge Comrade Mchangwa, our party spokesperson, and also to welcome you all, members of the press. I just wanted to give you a statement on progress on the by-elections campaign by the ZANU-PF, In terms of the laws of the land, by-elections take place to fill vacant positions in the legislature or local authority following the death, resignation, recall, or expulsion of sitting members of parliament for whatever reason. In this particular case, the major reason for the need of the by-elections was the recall of a number of members from the legislature and local authorities by antagonist MDC groupings. Other vacant posts emanated from the death of or reassignment of members by the ruling party ZANU-PF. It is an established practice that whenever vacancies occur in the legislature, action is taken to hold by-elections to ensure that Parliament is not prevented from carrying out its duties smoothly and that political parties retain the strength to push their legislative agendas on behalf of the electorate. We are at that stage where the necessary proclamation was gazetted calling for by-elections to fill vacant seats in the National Assembly as well as local authorities. Pursuant to the proclamation, the ZANU-PF party put together a campaign program to support its candidates in all constituencies and wards as applicable. One of the main features of the party's campaign program is the holding of presidential star rallies in selected places to allow the President and First Secretary of our party, His Excellency Comrade Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa Mnangagwa, and members of the Presidium to address party members and the general public on programs that the ZANU-PF government has achieved so far, programs that are in place, and programs that it intends to do in pursuit of the inevitable realization of Vision 2030 through the development thrust set out in the NDS-1 and the devolution matrix aimed at leaving no one and no place behind. As a well-established party, We have solid ideas, programs, and a clear vision of where we are going, and our end game is the complete transformation of the country to enable the economy to respond to national development needs and the aspirations of the citizenry in a sustainable manner. Our record speaks for itself, and this is what we are sharing with the people of Zimbabwe so that they judge us fairly on practical achievements. We are pleased so far that the public has been coming out in numbers to our meetings, and they've had an opportunity to hear directly from the President, His Excellency Comrade E.D. Mnangagwa, how we have and are dealing with serious national development and economic challenges and social, community, and household issues that directly affect livelihoods. Recently, we held a very successful rally in Kwekwe. I would like to thank the thousands of our party supporters and the public who came to hear the President speak on a variety of initiatives and programs that have huge national impact and indeed extremely important for the revival of major economic activities in Kwekwe and the Midlands in general. Kwekwe and Redcliffe will benefit from the revival of Zisco Steel, while the Manize Steel Plant, located at the intersection of three provinces, namely Midlands, Mashonaland East, and Mashonaland West, will witness the birth of one of the biggest steel plants in Africa. Manize will have a new industrial park, the attended downstream industries, and a new tourism frontier. While talking about Kwekwe, we took note of the violence that took place a day after we held a peaceful rally. We regret the loss of one precious life and extend our sympathy and deepest sympathy to the family of the deceased. Obviously, we still do not know what exactly happened, but hope that the Zimbabwe Republic Police will get to the bottom of it and will take appropriate action in terms of the law without fear or favor. President Mnangagwa is and has been consistently strongly voicing against political violence. Violence is not in the new dispensation DNA. Those pointing fingers at us are legendary for spreading falsehoods, faking abductions, using hate and violent language on Twitter, threatening violence when things do not go their way, and have needlessly orchestrated violent street demonstrations and are highly intolerant of difference. ZANU-PF has a solid ideology, clear policies and vision, and the policies are bearing fruit. The party is supporting tobacco farmers, cotton farmers, wheat farmers, livestock programs, urban and rural households, building dams, roads, schools, and clinics, innovation hubs, women and youth banks, regularization of informal settlements, and granting title deeds to urban households, and many others. The Honorable Vice President Chiwenga will be in Pumula constituency in Bulawayo tomorrow, Friday, the 4th of March 2022, addressing our members in the constituency, obviously on issues relevant and pertinent to the area and Bulawayo in general. The upgrading of residential areas, provision of water, and the revival of industry are important for the growth of Bulawayo Metropolitan Province. In the meantime, Vice President Mohadi is set to address a campaign rally in Cholocho on the 5th of March 2022. The party is determined to ensure that Matabeleland North takes full advantage of the massive resources at its disposal to prime up development. Victoria Falls, with unlimited tourism opportunities and being home to the foreign currency-driven stock exchange and its special economic zone status, will play a key role in building business confidence, while Hwange has a residual tourism attraction drawn from the huge presence of wildlife and a strong mining base. Binga has untapped business potential, and President E.D. Mnangagwa's government will leave no stone unturned to unlock the massive development potential in the area. Government will support the transformation of Cholocho based on its current agri-activities and cattle rearing. The potential to diversify rural-based microeconomic programs is limitless, and devolution funds will be used to address the community-based development programs, leaving no one and leaving no place behind. As a party, we have a strong leadership base, experience, strong grassroots presence, a combination of policies and programs to address multiple issues simultaneously. We know and understand the challenges that face our nation. We have the competencies and capabilities to deal with these challenges, and we are confident that the transformation process taking place now will deliver an empowered society by 2030. We therefore invite the public to give us their support, and our role is to make things happen for this country. Nyika inovakwa newe nevayo. I thank you.
Thank you very much, National Political Commissar. I think the message has been made very clear there. It's wrong to have a culture of abusing us by apportioning us blame to things that we have no responsibility of. It should not waste much of the time than to allow the party's chief information sir, Comrade Chris Mtswangu, to convene with you on a special message. Thank you very much, Comrade.
Thank you very much, Director. You've heard from our National Political Commissar the progress of our campaign date, our campaign to date. I want to reiterate that our president, our party, we are very much focused on winning the hearts and minds of the electorate and making sure that the ballot box decides who is the winner on 26 April and even later in the harmonized election. We have no particular focus other than the ballot box. So that's why you see our president is stamping the width and breadth of the land. He's stamping the width and breadth of the land, attending the rallies which you have been advised on, which you are aware of, so that we can get the support of our electorate, and our people can be galvanized, the party cadres and the party membership can be galvanized, so that we can get as much of our vote as possible. We are taking advantage of the fact that these elections are biased towards the urban areas, because that's where the feuding of the MDC was at its worst. They fought against each other, they fissured left, right, and center, they expelled each other from parliament, and now they are the by-elections according to the constitution. We want to harvest the votes in these urban areas, and we think it is fertile ground for ZANU-PF to win the urban vote, because 2 decades of MDC stewardship of urban areas is a dismal cesspit of incompetence and corruption and neglect. People sleep on garbage, children sweep sleep, they swim in sewage. Cars, when it rains, they pedal through roads which have become streams. This is the sordid record of the MDC city fathers for 2 decades. And for some time, they've always wanted to blame ZANU-PF, the central government, but everybody knows that the constitution is very clear. There's clear delineation of responsibility between the central government and the local government. Local government is a master of its house when it comes to the administration of local authorities. And for cities like Harare, which have budgets which compare to that of other African countries, it would have been a single exemplary environment for the MDC to show that they have the metro to run a modern administration. And being in urban area, it would have been much easier for them to deliver on jobs, to deliver on factories being opened up, to make sure that business comes into the urban areas to create opportunities for young people, so that an urban area can provide the goods and services which the nation wants, which also the world wants, because that is the purpose of an urban area. Alas, the MDC never thought about that. There is nothing which is being produced in Harare in the 2 decades of the MDC which makes Harare stick out in the global marketplace as an urban center. Nothing. In fact, there is total decay and decline. The same with Bulawayo. We used to have brand names which come from Zimbabwe, and you could find them in department stores abroad, in other big markets. None of that in 2 decades of the MDC. And not one day have the MDC leadership ever been with a businessman in any of their cities promoting investment or opening up factories. But with the Second Republic, the trend has reversed. Our president cannot stop opening up factories and cutting ribbons everywhere. He is being invited. Business is bullish in urban areas. So we are riding on this so that we provide an urban environment which will make it possible for Zimbabweans to live as they deserve in an urban environment. That's why we want to take advantage of the confidence of the business community to make sure that jobs are created, to make sure that services are provided to urban people so that they can enjoy the life which they deserve as urban dwellers. But further to that, we are determined to make them confident and permanent dwellers of urban areas. And the best way is to give them a stake in the urban property market. And many of them own houses which have been built over the years on irregular plots. Our president has already earmarked a day very soon, well before the elections, I can almost confidently say, where he will be dishing out title deeds to those in urban areas who own their houses, which shall be regularized as long as they don't stand in the way of some planning regulations like wetlands or roads or entertainment centers. For the first time, urban people will have something, a document, a title deed, which will be given to them in perpetuity. And there's that feeling of continuity that even if you die, you will belong to an urban area. And if you come 2 generations later, if your house is in Mutangwa, you will find a Mutangwa at the house, because the title deed will be Mutangwa, unless you have disposed of it in another manner. This is bigger than the land reform, because the houses are many. And you will be happy that the party has been engaging financial institutions in the country, including the largest ones in the country, so that they will become part of this smorgasbord, this bonanza of financial services, the new mortgages which will be generated by the title deeds. This is very big. So there is not only excitement by our membership, there is not only excitement within the party, there is not only excitement within our homeowners who will be benefiting from title deeds, but there is also excitement within the financial services sector, because this will create a very, very big multiplier effect in the economy. This is ZANU-PF at work. We told you that our party delivers. Those who were doubting that the president is prevaricating, He assured me, we were together with him during the rally in Kwekwe, he assured us that he has got a date with the homeowners of Zimbabwe for title deeds. It's going to happen. The same way it happened with the land in the past, the same way it happened with education, the same way it happened with independence, the same way it happens with the ZANU-PF creating a modern army to make Zimbabwe be free. ZANU-PF, what it says, it delivers. So those who are being told that there is any prevarication on the president, I am here as the spokesman to dismiss it. The president is dead earnest and he is proceeding accordingly. Title deeds shall be given to Zimbabwean homeowners with their houses which they have built over the years, which will be regularized, and they will be permanent dwellers. They will be given a permanent stake in the urban environment. This is going to happen. I have got here today one of the newspapers, the main newspapers. Here it is. It has got a big headline. It is lamenting jobs of NGOs. Now, we want to make it very clear as ZANU-PF that we support the new PVO Act, because per square kilometer of land and per capita of population, there is no country with as many NGOs as Zimbabwe. And what you call NGOs, non-governmental organizations, they are only non-governmental to the government of Zimbabwe. They all belong to other governments of other countries outside. NGOs are supported in most instances by the budgets of Western countries, most of them. They are part of the foreign policy of those Western countries. Indeed, they are what we call agents of foreign influence on our land. So the PVO Act is going to exercise this abuse of the NGO by foreign governments who have never reconciled with the fact that the people of Zimbabwe won independence in 1980 through military means, which was endorsed by the ballot. They've never reconciled themselves to that, because for Western countries, an African country to have a military which defeats them has not been on their history books since 1884 Berlin Conference. Zimbabwe reversed that. So we have never been forgiven. We have the sin, originals. We have an original sin which we suffer from. And the original sin is to defeat a Western cat's paw of the neo-imperial army of Britain and America. So the Western countries have never. That's why they've got so many NGOs whose work is all bent on trying to undo what Zimbabweans did in 1980, what they did with the land, and what they are doing with the sanctions and other things which we are defeating. So we have no lament for these 18,000 jobs. They must go, because these are drone jobs. They have no, if they champion things which have nothing to do with the day-to-day production of the Zimbabwe people, NGO jobs. And what do they focus on? They focus on human rights. They focus on democracy. They focus on this. These things are not edible. They are intangible. They are only a yardstick of the Western countries to try to influence our country. And in any event, when they ruled this country, they never gave us democracy. We won our democracy because we fought for it. I told you, we are the only liberation movement in history, which was the first one ever to refuse to march to office by bullet, to accept ballot in 1980. So we can't be taught democracy by the West. So we have absolutely no lament for these jobs. They must go. And for those who are going to be unemployed because these jobs are gone, we tell them that the president is providing endless opportunities through Pfumvudza, through big investments in places which have been mentioned by my national PC. Mining, Chivu Aron, Chivu Mvuma, Manize, it is going to generate a town as big as Gweru in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. The multiplier effect on services associated with mining will be huge. 1.2 million tons of steel per annum by the first quarter of next year translates to about probably 5 to 6 million tons of raw resources, chrome, limestone, coking coal, and iron ore being moved to Chivu. Can you imagine how much jobs it will create for the Zimbabwe people? These are useful jobs which create value for society. So people with the NGOs, they must now forget these drone jobs which are there for subversion of the land. They must not sell democracy because we know how we fought for it. It's not edible, the Western, and we cannot buy it from the West. So they are intangible goods which they have been selling, human rights, democracy, and this, and we have no business with that. And the PVO is going to get rid of all that abuse of the NGO sector, so that we remain with the genuine NGOs which support the population, not subvert the government of Zimbabwe. So this is we want to state it very clearly. And the last point we want to make about the violence in Kwekwe, investigations are going on. People have appeared in court. Some have been put on remand. Some have been let go home. This is our police and our CID at work. We cannot, as a party, be accused by social media through what is purported to be a leaked document from the police. The police, when they investigate, they don't report to social media. They report to the prosecutor general. That is the process of law in Zimbabwe. So for people to jump to the conclusion that the victim was, and the violence was caused by ZANU-PF ahead of investigations, it shows that there was a premeditated agenda to try to collar our party with accusations which have been typical of the MDC since its formation. They only specialize in the CCC in trying to give a bad name to ZANU-PF, call a dog a name and beat it. That is their approach to politics. We want to repeat, the violence was caused by the MDC. Their leader was actually in the violence himself. And surprisingly, for a leader, he was commanding his charges to drive out the other youths. I mean, what kind of a parent would you be at your house if your children are fighting, and you tell your child to get a stick and beat the neighbor's children? You don't do that as a responsible parent, as a responsible elder. You tell them, no, please, we don't want violence here. You reach out. Chamisa does not do that. And if we are witnessing many signs of yellow shirts in social media, behaving as bouncers, taking the law into their own hands, settling scores in the various urban areas, we warn them, this is a country of law and order. The violence which we know in this country is the violence which eventually leads to independence. Any other violence to us is not important. It doesn't decide the fate of a country. Demonstrations, throwing stones, all these ZANU-PF did them in the 50s and 60s, and it never gave independence. So when we eventually went to violence, we went to the violence of an armed struggle to unhinge the enemy. So we want to put it on record. They should desist from thinking that they can take the law into their own hands, because we shall use the police and the army and the various security forces to make sure that the MDC is put right in its place. It's a strong warning them to desist from the violence, because the arms of the state, which are constitutionally mandated to settle issues between citizens, will be given the powers to deal with the MDC should it think that it can become the purveyors of violence and lawlessness in this land. We will not allow it. And coincidentally, this violence always happens in February. And there's a ritual about February for the past 20 years, 2 decades. Every February is when the Western sanctions of America are renewed, etc. Every February is when the EU is supposed to renew its so-called measures against Zimbabwe. So there was an effort to make sure that something happens in February. How can you believe this party, which is a leader who hides in the ceiling, claiming that he is commanding a guerrilla army in the bush with the people, and I'm eating food as a comrade, a latter day comrade, only to find him drop out of a ceiling in Kwazan. This is the party which fakes abductions, and now it goes because this is message not meant to the Zimbabwe people. It is a message meant to its handlers in the West to say, can you renew sanctions because there's justification. So we remind those Western people, you have got enough in Ukraine. You know, Europe, particularly Western Europe, they are trying to cause a war again. They are in conflagration. Europeans are known for wars. They kill each other like flies in wars. They are busy there. Why are you preoccupied with what is happening in Zimbabwe, a peaceful country, you know, which which enjoys harmonious race relations, and its people love each other, and its leader is always championing the message of love, hope, and peace. Why are they bothered with Zimbabwe? So we say them, keep your dirty nose out of Zimbabwean political affairs. Don't pander to your puppets. These are the Moise Chombes of the latter day. For you who don't know, Moise Chombe was the puppet of the Belgians when they killed the illustrious African leader, Patrice Lumumba, and dissolved him in acid. He was their puppet, like Muzorewa was. Chamisa parrots the message of puppetry. He parrots the message of mercenaries. He parrots the message of being a servile tool of Western countries because he thinks sanctions are the roller coaster ride to power. They are the escalator to power. Sanctions are being undone. And for those who may doubt it, the president was in Glasgow. It used to happen in the First Republic. The president was in Brussels with the EU. Again, it didn't happen in the last days of the First Republic. So the Second Republic is moving mountains in engagement and re-engagement. The fruits are there. Chamisa's lot is being isolated. Businessmen in the West are hungry to come to Zimbabwe because if they don't, Indians like Varun, Chinese like Tsingshan, they will clear the business deck and go away. They will eat their lunch in business. So everybody in the West is coming, and there was no more message for Chamisa and his NGO lobby. NGOs don't make money, I told you, but businessmen make money. And ZANU-PF makes them make money, so they are following our president because he's open for business. So we want to assure you that we had nothing to do with the violence in Kwekwe as a party. If anything, it is the MDC, CCC, which was responsible. And finally, they own it up. Kupe accepts that they've been busy fighting at each other. You think the electorate doesn't know? They know that this party is up to no good. All they know is to fight at each other. If there is a Congress, every one of their top leadership wants to go to the Congress and be a president. Every one of them, nobody wants to give the other one a chance. In ZANU-PF, it doesn't happen like that. That's why even our name, we don't run away from it. We keep it as ZANU-PF. They get dirty, they change the name. They get dirty, they change the name. They used to change alphabet letters as MDC. Now they are changing names because they are always running away from a party of ineptitude, incompetence, and corruption, and being a party of the interests of foreigners. Isu president vakataura kuti mataundi akuzotongwa nevanhu varidzi vavo because ZANU-PF takes the job seriously of governance because inoti inyika yedu. MDC inoti inyika yevamwe vanhu, inyika yeAmerica, inyika yeBritain, inyika yemawestern countries. Saka havasi serious about kutonga vanhu. Isu taakupinda mumataundi. This man and his team is on the ground. We will have a harvest of seats come 26 March at the by-elections. We are saying the party is rolling back with an urban agenda, and our president is firmly focused on an agenda of urban renewal because the trend of urbanization is the way to develop. And we are also coming back, the boys are coming back to town, if we want to put it that way. The political parties started in urban areas in the 1950s. They didn't start in the rural areas. Yes, when we fought the guerrilla warfare, because it was asymmetrical warfare against the whites. We went to rural areas. So we have a very strong urban constituent, rural constituents. But we started in urban areas. So we are coming back home to where we came from as ZANU-PF. And the urban constituents is our target. And the urban renewal program agenda of our president will deliver the urban vote, because he will is appealing to the day-to-day issues of welfare to an urban person. Clean water, roads which work, factories which are expanding and opening up, garbage which is being collected, sewage which is moving, and running water from pipes as opposed from dirty wells. That's what an urban center is all about. And he's not being deviated from that agenda, our president. Whereas Chamisa only has one, anofambira imwanya imwechetesa ambulance. Kana chachi tuna ambulance haitakuri. Saka Chamisa akawina election in an urban area chituna kwari. Anomirira kuti ndichaenda ku State House. He doesn't administer the urban people whom he has won an election for. Because that's not his ambulance. Iri kuenda ku State House. If he's not at State House, all other gift horses which come his way, he doesn't like them. Because the rake riri ku State House chete. Saka vanhu vakuzviziva kuti haana basa nezuma urban areas because haada kuenda ku State House. Rwendo rwuno ku State House kure, and ku urban area kwacho kwaanga achiisira tsvina dzake kunyingira paunorara. Sorry. Hakuna achamuda. The people will not vote for him. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Corporate Spokesperson, for that essentially candid response to issues that peddlers love to put pen to paper about us. They are here, Corporate Spokesperson, they remain our friends because we remain eager to create friendship and work with all media, unlike those who have started discriminating others. There is an open society, as ZANU-PF, as a democratic organization. We remain to work with everyone, notwithstanding your views. Even when sometimes you deliberately lie to suit a certain narrative, you will always remain welcome. We will always respect you all, because free press is an essential tenet of democracy. And when I spoke to the person, reiterated the president's message, Kaya and China and Ukatso.
Chamisa asati asvika ku State House.
Comrade Busy, you repeat that. Those are serious. That's the reality, Comrade Spokesman. Members of the media, this is a positive moment for you to engage leadership on anything that has been raised with the National PC here, the party's mouthpiece is here, and spokesperson comments in some. This time is for you to abuse them the best way you can by way of voting on issues. Over to you, comment.
Well, I'll just have another addition. You know, there are always these accusations that there's no level playing field, that ZANU-PF abuses incumbency in elections. I want to make it very clear. All over the world, an incumbent party has got an advantage of being in power, to use the position of incumbents for campaigning. That's why that's why in America the president remains caretaker as a Democrat, even when they are in elections, until the elections decide who is the next president. So we cannot be bothered by people who try to invent artificial politics. Incumbents is well known and respected. But what is most important is that when people want to decide on a new government and they don't want a certain party, incumbents doesn't help. You lose, because the vote is the one which decides who wins and who loses. And the vote is decided in a booth. It is not decided by what's happening outside of the booth. And in a booth is an individual and his pen and his brain and his hands. That's what decides. We had the most uneven environment of elections in 1980. The most uneven. Ian Smith was determined and the white people to make sure that ZANU-PF does not, ZAP and ZANU do not come into power. But they were shooting people. People were dying. They were being killed to express their support for ZANU at that particular time. But it didn't bother Zimbabweans when they went into the booth, because in the booth you are one and you and your God alone. That's where you decide. So this nonsense about we want an even, it's a crybaby it's a crybaby screaming by a party which is afraid of losing. They already see loss written on in their eyes in front. So they want to justify that they are going to lose. Then they want to say, the environment is not free, there's incumbents, or there's this. These things are not deciders of elections. The vote and the pen and the mind of the voter decide an election. So we really, you can't continue to be accused that provide terrain this. And when it comes to broadcasting houses, newspapers are owned by individuals. We never force the Newsday to write what it does about us. We don't. They write because they've got a license under the Constitution and free speech to write what they want. The same applies to the broadcasting houses. They also belong to their owners. ZANU-PF has got a trust the government of Zimbabwe has got a trust as the ZANU-PF government which owns ZBC, which owns the Herald and other newspapers, and also the ownership of the ZBC. I want to be very frank. Voice of America, which owns Studio 7, you don't expect it in one day to invite President Mnangagwa to come and give a nation of a State of the Union address on Voice of America, because it is owned by President Biden and his government. Equally, the external service of BBC, it is owned by the British government, not even the British license holders. The British government, Foreign Office funds external service of the BBC. So please don't bother us about, if you want, you can set up your own broadcast centers. Mrs. Mchangwa, she's giving so many licenses. One was given last week, another one was given last month. People can set up, their own broadcast centers and broadcast their messages. We have no problem with that. We've done it in the newspapers. It can also, if you've got money, you also do it in the media. But don't come and bother us. We don't run ZBC at ZANU-PF headquarters. It is run by the ZBC authority. So don't say ZANU-PF this, ZANU-PF. They are free to choose whom they want to broadcast, just like Newsday is free to champion whom they want. I thank you. Yeah. Tosangana ku borrowed booth. Yeah. No, that is that. No, the relationship between the MDC and the police is their own affair. We as ZANU-PF, we very much try to make sure that we are on the good side of law and order as much as possible, so that the police do not expect that there will be violence. You look at it in Gokwe, then the next day in Kwekwe. And why is Chamisa trolling the president? You know what is trolling in internet? Following somebody's messages and message on the internet. It's called trolling. We were in Kwekwe, he wants to be in Highfield. We were in Epworth, he's trying to say, I can pull up a bigger crowd, but to have comparisons, as if crowds vote. Why can't Chamisa be in Mutare and the president is in Binga? Why is he trying to make sure that where ZANU-PF is the next day or the same time he is there? This is mischief on his part. He wants to generate tension between political parties. Zimbabwe is a wide country. There's enough expanse for him to go elsewhere other than try to be trolling ZANU-PF. It begins because there's an agenda. In this instance, in Kwekwe and in Ngokwe, he wanted to cause mayhem so that the white countries in Western Europe can have an excuse for sanctions. And sure enough, all of them, like a symphony with one conductor, they all issue statements. The American embassy, the Netherlands embassy, the Dutch, the British, all of them issue statements on one day, because it was a choreographed affair that their puppet triggered violence for them to have an excuse to renew sanctions. So there's an element of mischief, and the police, I'm sure, because they work with National Intelligence Service, they are aware of more information than you are aware of. So if he provokes the ire of the security services, and then they respond accordingly in suspicion to him, it's his problem. We always remind people, the MDC comes 20 years after the Zimbabwe state is formed. Why can't you respect the Zimbabwe state? Because ndiye mkuru. But what does the MDC want? It wants to reform the Zimbabwe state. And mapurisa ngaite zvatinoda. Mapurisa akafomwa nevanhu vakarwa hondo vakafa. Vochiteerera imikapatika vikazuro ketushava kuti iite zvamunoda. We can't do that. The state is sacrosanct. The people of Zimbabwe fought for it to be there. You respect it. Try unofamba all over the world which I want to reform the Zimbabwean state. The police must be reformed, the army must be reformed, the security service must, so that it suits you. Iwe wakazvarwa nezuro. Ava vakafira kuti zviitwe pa vachisina basa. Ko vachateera mangwana kana vachida state iyoyo vachazvarwa magenerations. Iwe waifoma waita zvaunoda iwewe zvavasingadi. So there is an element of mischief and anti-state about the MDC, which makes it very difficult for them to have cordial relations with the state apparatus. I appeal to them, in the name of the democratic evolution of Zimbabwe, to reconcile themselves somehow with the Zimbabwe state. It will make us create a better environment for democracy. In America, you go there, you respect George Washington's state. If you try to become a fascist or you try to become a king in America, they will refuse. Because they say that's not how George Washington founded America. We expect the same tenets to apply to the MDC, to respect the state. So that is their problem. Well, it's not an issue of incumbency. It's an issue about the MDC not having the proper relations with the state of Zimbabwe, which predates the formation of their political party. That is the problem at issue here.
Thank you very much, spokesperson. Did you bring your dictionary, Blessing? Oh, yes. Oh, wonderful. Let's proceed. Any further questions? Especially, I thought Comrade PC, Comrade Chief,
Yeah.
we're going to get a statement from these colleagues.
Yeah.
Multi-choice under the instructions of the European Union and the United States of America have decided to mute and black out all Russian media, including Russia Today, so that we become an audience to find the narrative.
No.
I thought we would get a solidarity statement from Blessed and others. They will not see that they haven't heard it. Anyway, questions to the spokesperson.
The police leaked the statement. Oh.
Through who?
The police does not, so you can see that that's unethical if it is true. The police don't report other than to the prosecutor general. The because the avenue for the police to deal with issues of violence is they investigate, they submit to the prosecutor general, then the matter is taken to the judge. The judge then decides on the merits. That is the constitutional avenue. Now this leaking you are talking about, there must be an element of mischief along the way. No, we are not worried. We are not. Perpetrators of violence are anathema to ZANU-PF. If they perpetrated violence, we don't care which badge they are wearing. They are violence mongers. They should be dealt with by the police as a law and order issue. Because you are, by innuendo, you are trying to say that the police shall come to ZANU-PF and arrest the ZANU-PF leadership for the vicarious responsibility of these people who were purportedly carrying ZANU-PF members, as if simply because they carry. What if the cards were fake? In this country, they used to be called Selu Scouts. They wore the guerrilla uniforms. They fooled villagers into believing that they were guerrillas. Then they collected intelligence and killed the villagers afterwards to say Munosa Botamagana. So false flag operations are not new in the Zimbabwean political scene. Particularly when we're dealing with the Western countries, we have never reconciled themselves to the fact that we can have a state which does not owe its allegiance to the West. So we are not worried about whether how many cards were found in the pockets of those people. We may be worried how the cards got there. They probably were placed because afterwards there was a chorus of condemnation before the police submitted their reports to the prosecutor general and in turn to the courts. Because issues of violence are not decided by social media. They are decided by the courts. Why couldn't they wait for investigation? And investigations have gone on. I'm actually told that one of the deceased, he has refused to have the MDC come there and claim him.
In fact, the family
Yeah.
has said
Yeah.
their son
Yeah.
was not active in any form of politics and was not a member and was actually a miner by profession, a small-scale miner,
Yeah.
who might just have been caught in the crossfire because he was drinking beer.
Yeah.
And they've chased those yellow jackets. They were chased at the funeral, and the family said they didn't want him.
So will the EU, will Chamisa retract his statement? Will Mahere retract the statement now that the family has disowned their claim that it was ZANU-PF? You see, it's always better to deal with the system, the justice system, from the police to the prosecutor general to the courts. Then you have a judgment by the judge, a verdict by the judge. Don't just point a finger at ZANU-PF simply because it's February and you want sanctions renewed. They were in a hurry to justify the issue, the renewal of Zidera sanctions. So there's mischief all the way through, including the so-called leaking. It was planted, it was not a leak. It was a plant more than a leak. So we are used to this because we fought a war. We know the ways of the enemy. And we will not be hoodwinked. That's why we are unfazed as ZANU-PF. Tagara nazo izvo kubvira nakudhara zvekunyebero. But one thing sure, come elections, ZANU-PF will be in power. On 26th July, one thing sure, national elections come, ZANU-PF will be in power. And the MDC will be out of power and they will be complaining and they will be finger pointing at each other, and they will be dividing, and they will be expelling each other from parliament, and they will be thinking of going to State House. Vanofambira chimwe chete seambulance. Even if they win, they will not bother to administer. So, but now they will not win because urban people now know the green light of a president who cares about their lives. Nzira dziri kuvakwa, madhamu ari kuvakwa kuti tive nemvura. President vari kukata maribhoni emafactory kuti kuve nemabasa. Vana vadiki vane hope. I'm coming from the university where the big hall full. The whole great hall was full. And there were some very clever young people talking about how they are making money as businessmen. Not these NGOs in their jobs. Because the president is given opportunities to make money. Ngatimboenda kuleta mari ndo zviri kudiwa mu Second Republic. Neti kuti tsvagira ma NGO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comrade PC, I'm sure as spokesperson you forgot to also tell them that after 26 March we'll be here, we'll meet them here again, and the PC will be congratulating you.
Yes. The last thing, we are still proceeding on the facility trip to Chivu for the new steel plant. This is the constituents of the PC. 250 hectares of land being built on a scale you can believe in, and people have been relocated. Contrary kune vanonyora crisis coalition, kuti vanhu vanongotandaniswa. First class houses are being built, better than even zamunogara for the relocated people. And they are also being given jobs in the new factories which are coming up in Chief. Something big is going on. This is the largest project on the African continent, and it's being driven personally by the president for the last 10 years, since 2013. Tenaciously, determinedly, he is making sure that Zimbabwe is built brick by brick, stone by stone. And is reaching out to some of the best companies in the world to come and invest in Zimbabwe so that we can change the economy of this country and bring hope and prosperity to Zimbabweans. That's what President ED is there for. Whilst Chamisa is saying, Dira Jej, Kupe wazoti, Monzora wazoti, Zisingaperi, Istrikutoenda, Tichingoenda, Nekungoenda, that tank.
Any last word, Comrade PC, about 25th March after the spokesperson, we march towards your last word, Comrade PC.
Well, look, 26 March is done. We're actually now looking into 2023 harmonized general elections. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our colleagues. Meet you after the 26th of March.
No, we'll meet them before.
Oh, yes.
Yes. We are not running away. And we will not discriminate.
Yeah.
All of you will come. Yes, blessed. Kajan. Jobs the main job. Enda kupfumvudza uku. Chenda kuchivu. Chenda kuchivu. Chenda kuyenara zeti chatakura marasha.
Thank you very much. No.